Hey, so it's time to go on more hobby stories and see just what the hell you guys have been sending me next in my mailbag of goodiness. This is the last time I'm using the old mailbag. We have a new mailbag on the Discord server, and speaking of Discord server, if you're having fun, head on over there. It's free. You get to speak to us and talk to us about the hobby and about life in general, so we can get you through the next couple of months and see where you are in the summer. So, let us rush right the hell on down to the mailbox and see what hobby horror stories you guys have gotten involved for me today. So, awesome. Captain Snackles says, I got two stories. All right, that's always a good start. We like the content. So, the most recent was a buddy of mine went to play a casual 2K game of 40k. His opponent whips out like a 4K list and just tells him to play the game. We calculated the points for his list after the game. Same dude would also kick terrain out the way for his Magnus and say shit like, he could just move the rock so it's okay. Okay. Other one is a GW. Okay, I'll come back to your first one. So your first one, I mean, we've all come across this guy. Not this guy in particular, probably, but a guy like this who genuinely likes to, be a bit of an ignorant twat on the tabletop. Likes to cheat and make sure that his. But as I said in other videos, the main way to combat this is to just not play that person and go out of your way to let that person know. If they come for you to play again, then say, look, no, I'm not interested in playing you. Last time you took the piss. I'm not interested in playing you. That's that kind of a thing. That's, that's the way to do it. Anyway, your next story. Other one is a GW store had a contest a long time ago where you could paint a Space Marine and entered into a raffle to win every participant's painted Space Marine. Oh, that's cool. Okay. At the end, there was easily over 100 Marines painted. Oh my god. From beginner to professional levels. The dude who won shoved them all in a Walmart plastic bag and sifted through them like M&Ms. Fucking hell. I mean, listen, right? Hobbyists be hobbyists, I'm afraid. Right? A GW store had a contest a long time ago where they could paint a Space Marine. So, is that the Space Marine that GW stores can just give you? Because we do have big boxes of these single Space Marine models on a single sprue that are all in exactly the same pose. And, if it's that, then it's not that bad. But if people have gone out of their way to get a random Space Marine from their collection, build it, paint it, bring it in, and then this guy has gone, just shoved them all in their bag and starts shifting through them like they're M&Ms to find the ones that he likes. I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. It sounds like a normal hobby behavior of normal hobbyists. Every single, um, every single hobby store has guys like this. Just shifting through. And I bet you had that look on his face, like, yeah, yeah, as he's going through them. Yeah, every hobby store's got them. Every hobby store's got them. Anyway, Mr. Wah says, the first one wasn't my game. Okay, cool. My opponent tried to bring a 3,500 point list to a 2K game. When I played him, he tried to pull something like moving things out the way by saying that Bane Blades can cut down to 310 points, but couldn't show me where despite Battle Scribe and the Codex saying differently. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. Sounds similar, but that is a truly bullshit statement by somebody to try and figure out something. But you get these guys in every single game that you play ever, which is why people move away from hobby games to play games that are online, because generally they're much harder to cheat in if they're online strategy games, things like that. It's just, just avoid them in future, is my advice. Squant says, the owner and sole employee of my local game store gives off heavy, I thought it would be fun to run my own store until it actually did it vibes. You can tell there's a nice, fun dude buried somewhere down there, but most of the time he just sighs, welcome to Games Workshop. Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't just know guys like that. I've been that guy, but I definitely do know guys like that. You just come in and it's like Squidward. Welcome to King's Workshop. It's like that is a guy who is running his own hobby store, yes, but it's being beaten down by the middle management into saying things and doing things that he just genuinely doesn't want to do. That's exactly what you've come across there. Yeah. So, Huntron says, so I had this friend who showed me Warhammer. At first, I was more interested in Age of Sigmar, and he got really toxic about it. He was saying things like, "This one is garbage and no one plays it," etc. After some time, I started playing 40k. My first playable army were orcs, and he was collecting marines. I had around 800 points, and he had like 1,100 points. And when our first game started, oh ho shit begun to happen. He explained rules to me in like 10 minutes. I still do not understand AP, strength, toughness to toughness, or even damage. Also, things happen like placing Rhino as a predator, or scooping ultramarines with Death Guard. Later, we ended up on a summer camp where we could play Warhammer. While we were building our armies with models, I made some error because I never did that before. All right, so okay, fine. And I'll just say that he lost very quickly. Next morning, I woke up to him bragging about my list to another guy who we had to room with. Why did he know exactly what I had? Because I had wrote down everything on a piece of paper and later left it in my backpack. So he literally opened my backpack, went through my stuff, and got to the list. After that, we had a fight, and since then, I don't talk to him. I mean, yeah, Warhammer Summer Camp sounds pretty cool. You know, not just gonna throw that under the bus. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, yeah, who needs friends? Who needs enemies when you got friends like that, right? I've had hobby friends like that before who just go out of their way to genuinely run down your army lists, run down your choices in the hobby, and try and smack you off the table in 3 turns or less, right? I've had guys like that. I played my first actual game of, I think it was 7th edition, with a friend of mine, and I started with the Grey Knights. And in 7th, Grey Knights had that rule where they could instantly kill things with multiple wounds. And so instead of letting me have that cool moment, he just blasted me off the table at the top of turn 1 and just laughed the entire time. I came very close to just like saying, okay, maybe I'm just going to paint these models and never do this hobby ever again. I came very, very, very close to saying, I like these Grey Knights. Maybe I'll just paint them up and then just like never play them, and then I'll never do anything in this hobby ever again. At least I've got these models. That's what I was gonna do. I was seconds away from doing that, but other friends like kept me in, basically. So I asked for a happy hobby story last time, and Gallus, which is a very cool name, Gallus. Most of my role playing characters are called something like Gallus, or if they're in a Roman setting, Gallus or Cato or whatever. But anyway, he says, I have a happy story. All right, cool. We had a guy coming into the game store that just smelled awful. Not doesn't shower enough bad. This was I think this man might actually be experiencing necrosis. Awful. Oh my god. He was being very shy and was really hard to understand when he spoke. But people let him read some of the rules, which he had been really interested in. But he started getting mad and snapping at people that hey, I'm not stupid, whenever they questioned him. Okay? Eventually, the manager pulled him aside and had a chat about it. Hey dude, you smell like worryingly bad. I've got some sanitary wipes and deodorant and anything else you might need in the bathroom because I used to be homeless. But like, do you need me to call you an ambulance? The guy broke down crying. Okay. His name was Mike, and he'd been homeless for about 2 years after coming back from Iraq. And he used to play, but he hadn't gotten but he had also gotten a head injury that was making it impossible for him to remember stuff like appointments or to fill out paperwork or find somewhere to stay. So he'd been coming to the game store to get out of the weather and hang out with things that seemed familiar, that made him smile. Sherman, the manager, told him he was moving into his basement that night. Ah. Mike needed major brain surgery, legal help, a ton of meds and rehab, and the 40k group decided to donate a shitload of money to him. But we also did painted mini auctions, a fundraiser tournament where the tickets and all sales that weekend went to Mike's unfuckering fund. I love 2 things in this, and that reminds me of in this story. Number 1 is guys in general, right? Like the guy spirit, the spirit of bros. Like, Mike's unfucking fund. He's got to get Mike not fucked. I love that. And number 2, the banding together of the hobby in general. You do get stories like this, and this is really cool. Anyway, all the proceeds went to Mike's unfucking fund and managed to get his medical and legal bills handled. 3 years later, Mike is the store assistant manager / co-owner and enabling my surrealist Tyranid army habit. Wow. wow. Okay. I mean, you know, if you want a picture of how the hobby can be a healing presence in the world, I can help people in some really shitty situations get out of there and actually do their bit in life. Some people just need a bit of a helping hand. Some people need more than a helping hand. They need people to get behind them. And the fact that this Games Workshop manager was able to just be like, yeah, I'm helping you out. Let's help this guy out. And you know what? He probably sold a load of models doing that as well, which is really cool. Like, you know, housing events and stuff. That is really cool. I really like that story. And please keep these coming because, you know, I need shit like this in my life nowadays. Alright, Roy Z. Apocalypse battle. I'm setting the scene. Team play. Orcs versus Imperial Guard. Top of round 1. Alright. Basilisks, which are Imperial Guard tanks, if you don't know, long range, or mortars, are raining hell on massed orcs. Not pretty, but unexpected. Orc turn 1. In comes the Orc Air Corps. Now it is the Guard's time in the barrel. In a series of dice rolls I have never seen before or since, the fighter bombers and bombers decimate the Guard armour. The Guard player in charge of the armour, who was laughing and mocking me mere moments before, is now cursing and squalling like a spoiled brat. He is a 26-year-old army lieutenant. It's okay. The team players, 3 players, an additional Guard player and 2 Orc players, think he is removing destroyed units when, in fact, he is packing up to leave. The game is far from over. The issue is still in doubt. Tremendous losses have been inflicted on both sides, but he, the 26-year-old brat, is taking his toys and going home. The remaining Imperial Guard player can't win. The ass ruined a gaming day for the 3 of us. The consequence, people in our gaming community refuse to play with the whiny, crying ass. If there are no consequences, people do not have the opportunity to learn. When he came back, he was a changed man, based on what the others told me, as I never played on a table with him again. I mean, I would say it's never too late to turn things around, and you know, some people need an ass beating to turn things around. But again, for me, let me come down on his side for a little minute here. An apocalypse game can run all day, right? So if I once played in an apocalypse game, right, and I was legitimately a bit peeved because throughout the university year I'd been winning quite a lot of battles. I would say I'd win like, you know, I'd lose 1 in 5. I'd win 4 out of 5, right? And quite a good Grey Knights list, doing all right, doing fine. We then had an end of the year apocalypse battle, and everybody in the opponent's battle like went for me, like literally went to like clear me off the fucking table essentially. And my opponents refused to help. So I'd played everybody at that table and beaten everybody at least once. Refused to help, on my own, got absolutely annihilated at the top of turn 1, and was expected to stand there, and because I think I had like 1 rhino left, I was expected to stand there for the rest of the game and basically do nothing. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm literally not going to stand here all day doing nothing. I'd rather go, like, take them, like, my models are already off the table, I'd rather take them and go and play against somebody else, right? You know what I mean? Rather than standing here and doing nothing. For that, I was called pretty salty. And I was just like, dude, we have like 4 hours left of this game. You guys decided that you didn't want to play with me because you nuked me off the table at the top of turn 1. That's fine. But I'm taking my property. You can keep my rhino there and somebody else can use it as part of their forces. But I'm taking my models. I'm going to go play with somebody else. Right? Because I don't want to waste my day. You guys decided to waste my time. That's fine. I don't want to waste my day. I'm going to go over here and play something else. And I did. I went and played a 2,000 point game and I lost. But at least it was a really good game. I had fun and you know. And so I'm getting, if there is a part to the story that is like in between the cracks where he would have to stood there all day with like 1 guardsman left whilst you guys had fun, I can understand his reasoning for saying, look, I'm going to pack up my models and like stand to the side or go and play something else, right? But if he had half of his forces still on the tabletop, then yeah, that's a dick move. Yeah, that's a dick move. You don't ruin somebody else's time just because you're having a shitty time, right? The reason I made that decision is because I knew me not being there would have made no difference to the actual outcome of the game, you know? Yes, I get both sides. If that's what happened, you know, that he would have had to have stood there all day with one model left, then I get both sides. But anyway. So, Satil, one of the 4 or 5 female viewers, has come forward and says, I'm a woman who used to work in a comic and gaming store. Oh my god. I could go on for hours. Please do. But one story really sticks out for me. Okay, let's have a look here. Please open this. Okay. Oh, an external link. There better not be a virus. If the video goes off, you know what happened. Okay, so cool. At the friendly local game store that started my Warhammer obsession, the manager became a very close friend of mine. I was painting with a few of the regulars and a manager one day. A known a-hole came in and to add tanks to his Imperial Guard army. He sees me happily painting and chatting and decides to initiate the conversation. He asked me what army I was building, how many points, etc. At the time, I was just getting the feel for it, and was painting random minis from various armies. This was about 20 years ago. I told A-hole that I was enjoying the painting side and wasn't really ready to commit to a full army at that time. So he makes some snide comments about, oh, she's only here to paint pretty things, etc. Whatever, I ignore him. Okay, if that's my store, I'm telling you now, that guy's banned. Right? Not because of white knighting or anything like that. Anyone says shit like that to somebody in my store, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, off you go. He buys a few tanks and starts to build them at the table I was at. He received a complaint to a friend he brought that he wanted the guardsmen in the tanks to have camo on their uniforms, but he couldn't do it. Bless the manager as he went into my travel box of minis and put one in front of him and said, hey, did you see this totally awesome guardsman Satil painted for fun? The camo's really good. The A-hole's draw dropped, and he sheepishly asked me to paint his 3 guardsmen in camo at the price of a coffee and 2 Skaven to go with one he was already working on. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, at least he realised that, you know, I made a fuck up here, you know, that sort of a thing. And good on the manager for, like, calling him out on that bullshit and going out. But truly unlucky for him to, like, put his foot in his mouth like that as well. You know. Let's see. Yeah, I've got a question here. Why don't you put a sign up in your store if you have one again, saying if you stink, you'll be asked to leave? So, number 1, this should be in the other mailbag, because it's a question, not a story. And number 2, if I run a store and I have a picture up like that, like a sign up like that, not only is that advertising to people that I am an unwelcome person, an unfriendly person, right? But it also means that parents coming into that store will think, oh, this must be full of smelly people, right? And if you come into a store and you already have a bias against that store, not a great way to start things off, okay? Normally I make it known as like an unofficial rule, so I'll tell people that it's going, that, you know, that I feel this way about smell, and that's just how things are, right? So, Fun Grunt. Fun Grunt? Okay. I have a story. I knew this one guy. We weren't friends anymore because of a personal matter, but when it came to Warhammer, he was probably one of the worst people. Okay. He would always grind, play to a halt, to talk about whatever random thing he decided to. A turn could take an hour because he wouldn't get on with the game. He'd be really possessive over what music was played, and would get really pissy if someone put different music on, despite it being a club at a uni, so, you know, everyone is welcome and all that. Worst thing is, he would sky food and drink off of people, but spend his weekly allowance practically all on Warhammer. Oh, fuck these guys. You know what? There was a guy in my university just like this, right? Steady, if you're watching, it's not you, right? But if you're watching, Steady is going to be... a friend of mine called Steady, who's been in a few of our videos, will be chuckling his ass off. This guy, right, would play Warhammer with all of us. It's fine. Yeah, cool. He literally like the worst person like this ever, right? Not in terms of like being dickish around the hobby, but if you went out with him, let me as an example say, you'd go out and you'd have a beer, right? You'd have a beer. So I would drink a Grolsch in university, and Steady would drink a Guinness, extra cold, right? So it's not a especially in a university bar, it's not a very expensive round. It's like, £4. I know, but it's like £4 for that round. And our friend would come in and be like, yeah, and he'd skive into the group because does what you do. But hey, you never turn anyone away. Our round, it's like, yeah, what? Hey, what do you want, man? And he goes, oh, I'll have that vodka over there, that one in the crystal skull, that one over there. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, £7, £7. So our round goes from £4 to £11 for the sake of one extra drink. It just, okay, fine. He would then get a round in, right, and he'd get a fucking Carlsberg, or the equivalent for himself, right? And that's when he got a round in. A lot of the time, he just wouldn't get a round in at all. He'd just skive off and leave before he actually had to get a round in. He would go into a group of like 8 people and get like 6 rounds out of that group and then just disappear. Just, if you're that kind of a person, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. And if you are poor, then admit it. I had another friend who was always poor. But, he'd say, can I borrow a fiver to have a pint? Of course you can, mate. There you go. No problem. You'd never ask for it back. Just go and get yourself a pint and be involved. You're paying me back by being here. That kind of a thing. Yeah? We also had another friend who would do similar, but he would always spend his money on shit and drinking with other people. I'm like, yeah, no, you can go fuck off, because obviously, you have more popular quote-unquote friends than us, and we're your last resort, and you think we'll give you money, because we give that guy money, go swivel, see you later, right? Yeah, so these guys can fuck off. Yeah, So back to the story. He was also a very poor sportsman. If he started losing, he'd get pissy and start chucking his expensive models around, often causing breakages, which made him more angry. He would never try to make better gameplay decisions, even when other people in our club gave him advice on how to do so, like not using anti-tank weapons on a tank and etc. I would often nerf my own army when we played to try and make it even, but that didn't help. Yeah, glad he's out of my life. Most of the gaming club is really great, and I've made some good friends there. Just this guy was a real dick. Yeah, I mean, they're in the hobby, man. They're in the hobby. Alright. Let's have a little look here. Thrice damned sandwich. This one dude was a Tyranids player, and the entire game he wouldn't stop talking about the Starship Troopers movies. He was an okay dude, but my dumbass only ever watched the first one, so he was just chatting the whole game. All I could do was go, uh-huh. Even after telling him I only watched the one. Another one isn't about chatter, but whilst I was playing a game, a seriously stinking dude walked up to the table and started examining some of my guys whilst I was playing with him on a table. I tried telling him to stop, but gagged mid-breath. I immediately submitted and went home. Thankfully, never saw the guy again. I mean, yeah, if I'm playing a game of 140k, and someone comes up to the table and picks up my models without me asking, I'm going to hold my hand out underneath his hand so he drops it into my hand, and then I'm going to take my model away and slap his hand as hard as I can. On top. That's the first warning. And if there's like, whoa, what was that for? I was like, well, you don't pick up somebody's property without asking. Right? It's the most rude thing you can do in the hobby. Apart from turning the table over and the obvious shit. One of the most rude things you can do is just walk up to a table and pick up somebody's hard work, pick it up off the table and start oogling it, or putting your fucking Cheeto-infested fingers all over it. Get out! Piece of shit. Let me touch my models. Anyway. Shield Wrench says, many years ago, I was a 14-year-old girl. I hope... Okay, fine. Alright, fine. Yeah, it just sounds weird. Many years ago, I was a 14-year-old girl, lining up my sisters to play an opponent I didn't really know. Said opponent thought it was appropriate to inform me with gusto that my army would be raped once defeated by him. As a kid, I had no idea how to respond to that at all. I shouldn't be laughing. But that is There are some special cases in this hobby, man. I mean, we have had two parallel opposite ends of stories, haven't we? So we had before the story about the homeless guy getting a new start in life, and then we get this. I mean, these guys are in the hobby, and I really, really wish we could just take them by the ears and throw them in the River Mersey and just watch them choke and just fucking drown. Because I just, like, do we need them in the hobby? No. I mean, but unfortunately it happens. But a 14-year-old dude, if you're, but if so, if by some miracle you're watching this, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself for doing shit like that, right? The way she wrote it is very dry and it sounds very funny, but you know, I honestly cannot fathom if my daughter came home and said that to me when she was 14 and said, this guy said this, blah, blah, blah. I would literally, want to turn up to that hobby store or whatever it was. Who was it in here? Okay, yeah, fair enough. Hey, man, do you want to play a game of 140,000? Yeah, okay. And yeah, right, here's my Grey Knights, right? Okay, yeah. Right, so I don't care, whatever you're playing, that's fine. That's fine. Just so you know, right, if I win, right, I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to make you kiss the end of my penis. Just straight-faced. Yeah, Oh, you don't want to play me now? Oh, okay, fine. Why was it appropriate for you to say that to my daughter then the other week? Was that not what you said? Like, was that and just go at it like that? Because I normally wouldn't cause scenes and do shit, but like a 14-year-old and somebody saying this to somebody in the hobby, yeah, go fuck yourself, man. I mean, come on. Anyway, please do not cut out the part of me talking about the penis. Please do not do that. Anyway, Bobblehead60. Hello. Hello. This one you'd like. Okay, it's about Grey Knights versus Imperial Guard. I was playing Imperial Guard, and we'll refer to the Grey Knight player as K. Alright? First turn. K brings up most of his army, shoots and destroys a few scions. K had really shitty dice rolls. My first turn, I bring forward my Lemon Russes, 5 inches. Use Grinding Advance, Plasma Pask, drops 2d6, 12 supercharged plasma, and hits all of them, and wiped out an entire squad of paladins. Oh, Jesus. K starts screaming at me how, you get mortals on 2s. I sigh and pull out the rulebook. K continues, I have to call over one of the more veteran players in the local game store. I explain the situation, and the vet player takes sides with me on this one, and then walks off. My battle cannon shoots at another squad of paladins, since again, Grinding Advance 2d6, but I only get 5 shots. I get 2 plus the wound, and get a total of 11 damage. So K spends 11 damage along his 10 strong troop of paladins, and claims that after I KO'd 3 of his 3 in K's other squad, K claimed that 2 leftover damage just goes away. This kept going for the rest of the 2,000 point game. I mean, it's bullshit. And some people can handle when things go really wrong, and some people can't. It is very difficult sometimes when you put your back into painting some really nice models, and somebody just wipes them off the table. Again, I think this is a communication problem. He should have reacted that way, don't get me wrong. But I do think this is a communication problem. Warhammer 40,000, you should at the start of your game tell people, I do all the time, what's overpowered in your list, what do they need to look out for. It's good sportsmanship, man. It makes for a better game. It really does. If you're the kind of person who wants to turn up and sneakily table somebody with a plasma pask or something without telling them what that does, yeah, I mean, you're inviting situations like this, is what I'm saying. I bet you this isn't the only story that you've got, of this nature. Honestly, you think you'll have more, because I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. Like, you can play the game however you want, but I'm telling you now, if you play it like this and you're going with really powerful stuff and you just pull it out of nowhere, you're going to get more receptions like this than you are if somebody's like, oh, thank you for telling me that, man, and then they can plan accordingly. As long as they don't change their list, I tell people what I've got, and I say, look, I'll tell you what's really powerful in my list, if you keep your list as it is, you let me read it, and you keep your list as it is, and you don't change it, you know, because at least then you can tactically make decisions in the game on what to go and target. But, you know, you're not actually metagaming or anything like that. So, he does have another. Bobblehead does have another story here. I was going to a nearby Games Workshop store to get some Age of Sigmar minis to paint up for the D&D club. The employee comes up to me and tells me that the miniatures I picked up weren't meta. I asked the employee to stop, and then he just starts to shove the Dark Angels miniatures into my face. I ended up not getting anything there and just going to the Goreblade Warband somewhere else. Get the Goreblade Warband somewhere else. I still have a stinking hatred for the employee, though. I mean, yeah, I mean, again, these creatures are in the hobby, I'm afraid. And it's one of the main things that we've got to put up with. In that, you know, obviously we have things in our hobby where people are very knowledgeable and they think that they're doing you a favour. They're not. They're being annoying little cretins and they need to go away. But that is me for now, guys, because I've done half an hour and I do not want to bore you anymore. I love you all a long time. Keep sending in your hobby nightmares or your hobby stories. They've been really good to read this week. I love it. Thank you very much. And more happy stories too. Love the happy stories. Love you all a long time. See you later. Have a good one.